Hello friends, Angular Material is a really popular library and it has been in the market for a while, and the reason is very obvious. The support of Angular Material in terms of the widgets, in terms of the UI elements, components, it's very rich. And in this video, I'm going to tell you some must-know things that you need to know in order to leverage the Material library to its full capacity, to its full potential. So this is how I plan this video. I'm going to give you a walkthrough through all the supportable components Angular Material has to offer, and then we are going to create our own project in the VS Code. And after creating it in the VS Code, we are going to implement, and I'm going to show you how all the steps that how you can integrate with your application, not just components. I'm going to tell you all other features which Angular Material has to offer. So if you hop to the component section, you can find there are a lot of elements, lot of UI elements there present. So autocomplete is a one, bottom sheet patch, all of those things are here. And if you want to integrate those components in your Angular application, you have to refer to the example section where you will find the code for your TypeScript and CSS and your HTML also. For some cases, they have also given a stack blitz that you can stack blitz portal where you can run the Angular applications in a live mode. So if you want to do that, you can simply click on this icon, which will open a new tab, and there you can see an exact usage of that particular UI component, how it has been implemented. Isn't that great? It makes a life very easy. You can directly see how it has been implemented. The examples are very short so that it becomes very easy for you to understand how it has been written. You can refer the code. You can also analyze the dependency that it has on the modules, on the CSS files, on the global CSS file. If you are using some custom theme, that dependencies also you can analyze with the help of this stack blitz example. So let's move to the VS Code. So I'm not going to show you how to set up the material in the Angular project, and that's not the intention of this video tutorial. I have shown that in another separate tutorial. You can refer that if you want to do a setup, and if you are doing that for first time. So I already have a material setup, and as you can see that I have created a separate module for the material module where I want to keep in all the imports that are related to material module. And that was because for the reason in the app module file, we don't want to keep an extra unnecessary code so that it will become a very lengthy file and also difficult to understand to a developer. So that's why we keep a separate module, and we just export the things we need from the material module and import it here. So I'm simply going to run this project with the ng-serve. So once I have my application running, I will simply create one new component. I just will use this shortcut which you can add a extension in the VS Code which allows you to create the component from the UI. So I just want to create a let's call it material widgets. So I will create this one, and this will basically add the entry in my app component, and I have the files for the material widget. Now next thing what I want to do is I will add all of these widgets from the Angular materials documentation, and I will show you that how you can integrate it, what are the dependencies, what things you need to do. Before that, I will simply get the selector of this a newly created component and will put in my app component HTML so that it will be visible. So I will simply put this in my app component, and I want to comment the code which I don't want. I just want to hide it. Don't worry about the source code. I have given the source code link in the description as usual, what I do in every video. So you will find the link to my GitHub repository where all the example of my tutorial are present there. So now what I'm about to show you is a technique. This is a technique which tells you, which teaches you how to use the Angular material documentation to integrate the component. So this applies to all components. I will tell you one example, and if you know that, you can apply it for whatever you want, like whatever UI element you see on the site, you can easily get it. You can easily refer to a code, copy that code and integrate it in your application. So for example, this is a chips is a one UI component that I want to add in my application. So what I will do, I will go to this view code, and there you find basically three sections: HTML, TS, and the CSS. I don't have any CSS customized in this case, but I have only HTML, TS. So what I will do is copy the HTML code, then we'll go to my any component wherever I want to put it, and once I put that, you can see that there are some errors that it says it's not a known element, and that is because Angular is not able to understand where this match chip list box and the match chip option is coming from. So for that, you need to go to this API, and there you find what is the required import, what is the required dependency that that you need to import in your module so that it will run. So that's why we create a separate material module, and there we need to import it. And once I import it, I need to export it, put it in the exports array so that it will be available. And once I do that, you can see the errors are gone. And if I again come to my application, I can see that I think it's still compiling, will take time. Or once I do a refresh, you can see that the UI that I was seeing here, this one basically I copied, so you can see the things that was present there. So these are the things that I copied, and same are present on my application UI. So this is the way that you do it. You have to refer to HTML code, TypeScript code. TypeScript code is in order to decide the control or the flow of the data, and API, in the API section you have which import to do. And if you go to an overview, there you can find the what are the possible options, what are the customization that you can do. For example, in the case of the chips, how you can disable the appearance, how you can decide the selection of the chips. There is a keyboard interaction that also you can do, like usage of the keyboard key shortcut, autocomplete if you want to do that, and the usage of icons. All those things you can get to know from the overview content, what are the possible things that you can put, what are the things that you can override. So I want to show you how you can add a couple of elements from the material. So for this example, I'll add some widgets. So before that, you need to import all of them, and as I showed, you can refer to the API section of all these examples so that you can know what things to import. So I will add the elements that I'm going to use into my exports, and I will put them in my import. Now I'll move here in my HTML file and will try to add some elements. So first thing, I just want to show you how you can add a slider. So I have added the slider there, and if I go to uh, the page, I can see that a new slider is added there, and I can change the value. So you can see the code for the slider I added as this, and in the CSS I had a small change for this. I wanted to show the width 300 pixels, so that's why I added it in my CSS. This is not a good practice. I just put a mat slider to width, but usually we use the ngtip or the host to get to an exact element on the DOM and apply a CSS, or we can create a custom class and apply to it. Then I will add some other fields, like I want to add mat form field, and I want to show one simple snack bar example. So snack bar is like a notification that you can show. So I have added a button, and if I click on it, it says that there's a snack bar I can see. So it is usually used for the notification and the uh, showing some important messages on the page. Then I want to show how you can add the mat step. Don't worry about the code. I have given the link to the code that you can see in my description of this video. So similarly, I can add the multi-step form. So you can see that I have like disable. If I disable the linear mode, I cannot go to the next step. If I click on then, if I just enable it, then I can simply skip the steps and can jump to this. So if I enter any value there and press enter, and go to the next step like that. So usually we use this for the multi-step forms. Then I have a slide toggle which you can use. For that I just refer to, so for that I'll refer to a mat button, and I'm using a toggle so that I can see. Similarly, I want to show how you can add a couple of more things, like I want to show a select box. So if I just go here, so I can see I have a select box for which the values are coming from my component TS. So here I have provided a simple array of foods that is basically binded, that is linked to this select box. So this is the way how you can add a select box. Then I then we can add a multi-step tabs that we can do with the help of tabs. And uh, this is the example for the mat radio group where you can specify the option. And again, I'm taking the options value from my TS file. So this is the quick example of mat tab group, how you can add a multiple tabs. And if I just go here, you can see that there is first, second, third, and the content inside of it is displayed. So we can take this ahead. The tabs is something that is extensively used in the many projects. I use it a lot because it is very uh, from the UX standpoint, it is very convenient to use and gives idea what the user is doing and what is the current stage he at, or if you want to switch between the multiple views, it is really useful in those scenarios. Then the mat toolbar is a toolbar that if you want to add a set of icons and the buttons together, you can use this one, which basically shows how you can there is a menu option that also you can play around with and add an expansion panel on it. One more important thing to remember, if you are using any buttons, any sort of buttons in your code, you need to import the mat button module. If you don't have mat button module, you can see that the CSS that you are applying will not be work. So if I just remove the mat button module import, and I can see that the CSS for my buttons are not working as expected. So you need to have a mat button module import. Also, one good example of the material UI elements is the tree. Tree has been added in a latest version of the Angular material, and it has a very good capabilities. The code for the tree is relatively big. You can refer to their example they have provided. And with a tree, you can do a lot of things, like you can add a checkboxes as a nodes of it. And when you select it, you can deselect it. Even you can add a new items into it like this, and it will allow you to add any nodes under it dynamically. So this is one really good UI widgets that comes with Angular material. So the purpose of this video was to show you a demonstration of how you can integrate all the different UI widgets of the material in your project. I hope you find this video useful. Thank you.